And then if we let's get to the yes or no. Yes in perpetuity or no in perpetuity. I know this may not change your view. If I told you that in the record, the complainant, and I'll take you to page 1265 of the record.
You'll have to give me a date. I don't have numbered.
Oh, you've got them as dates. I think it's 9 October 2021, the conversation. 1265 specifically. It's a conversation at 13 minutes past 9, 21:13.
Yes.
You see that? Oh yeah, sorry, Chair, sorry. 1265.
Thank you.
We may or may not agree with this. It's that conversation. Yes. It's a discussion. It's a conversation they are having about a very important case about consent.
Okay, so it's the 14th of October.
Yeah.
The Koko matter.
Yes. And the complainant's views are expressed there about consent. In fact, I think she says that once, and I'll read, ifundisa xoxela ukuba ebeyazile complainant ngokwangoku ya ukuba ukuthi yes kwakhe kweyokuqala akho boundaries for next. One thing led to another which says if he agreed at the beginning, there are no boundaries after that. There is no after that yes. What's your comment with the complainant's views? Because she differs with you on the perpetuity or non-perpetuity of a yes. She says this woman who ended up in this situation, raped by someone who claims, no, you agreed that I kiss you. Her view on this issue is that the first yes meant no boundaries after that. It's interpreted in page 1331 if you want to get the English version. And I can read it to you. It says, it teaches you to be suspicious. If the complainant knew then that when you say yes to the first request, then there will be no boundaries for the next. Those are her views on yes.
I did look at this and was thinking, there are two ways to interpret that. The one is that if you do allow someone to touch you, then whatever happens thereafter is you've given permission to. Or the other way to interpret what she's saying is that if I say yes, then it's assumed that I'm saying yes to everything thereafter. So I read that as saying potentially two things. It's a bit ambiguous.
Am I wrong, Ms. Lisa Vretten, that actually every time we interpret what she says, you are more sympathetic towards her, to interpret it sympathetically than you do with the respondent?
No, I'm saying there are two potential interpretations here. Either one could be right. Either one could be right. Okay. This is one of these occasions where you have to say to her, what did you mean? It's
fine. I'll leave that. I'm going to go to...
Because I can agree with you. She's not entirely sympathetic to the complainant. That's I would agree with you.
That's why I was leaving it, Ms. Lisa, because as an intellectual, I expect you to have a much more open discussion with me than evasive. So, but I'm happy if that's the... Because I think those views are at odds with your view.
Which view?
No, I'm saying if she says a yes, is a yes in perpetuity. If that's the one of the views.
As I said, there are two ways you can read this. If you yes to the first request and there are no boundaries for the next, it means you have said yes to everything else. That is certainly the one interpretation you can place on it. The other is if you do say yes to something, it's going to be taken to mean that you've said yes to everything else. Two meanings. She would have to clarify which one she meant.
All right. She would have to clarify. That's why we get back to the point that actually it's important to establish from her what she means about things, rather than to interpret them sympathetically or not sympathetically from a distance. It makes the point I was making to you about faced with what your interpretations of what she does. I see now that you, for some reason, now you respect the fact that it would depend on her. And that's what I was saying to you earlier, is that faced with what she says and does, we've got to give weight, as you do now, to her intentions and what she means. This is a 42-year-old woman, smart, divorced, has been through life, and knows what she means, and says what she means, and means what she says. You and I have no reason to doubt it. Do you disagree with me?
No, but that doesn't mean she always knows exactly what she wants. I mean, we must assume that she went from a position of not saying anything to laying a formal complaint. Clearly that shows that she has changed her position.
How do you know that?
Well, presumably she would have gone to lay the charge at the first
I'm
time she was
saying, how do you
offended.
know that sometimes she knows what she means, sometimes she doesn't?
Well, we assume if she's gone to report now, she now knows that that's what she wants to do.
No,
That's all I'm trying to say.
As a person, how do you make the conclusion that sometimes she knows what she wants, sometimes she doesn't?
No, what I'm saying is what she wants might change over time. At the time, she didn't lay a charge. She then laid a charge. So her thinking has changed over time.
Can you dispute the fact that as an adult, employee, educated person, we must respect that she knows what she wants, she means what she says, and she says what she means? You and me have no particular legitimate reason to doubt her unless we state why. She's no imbecile.
No, of course not. Well, if you look at her, the WhatsApps here, and if you look at her testimony, she does say to you, sometimes I am playing along. So sometimes she's saying I am doing something different to what I am saying.
Yes, that is the part I said you would have known better and analyzed better as an expert had you seen or heard through when those statements are tested in cross-examination. You agree with me that, and I don't dispute what you're saying. I'm saying your analysis would have been enhanced and more objective and more complete had you had sight of what exactly did she say when those things were challenged. Did she concede? Did she say the opposite of what we are saying? In this tribunal, not when they are flirting. Because I accept that you say when they are flirting, because one is a judge, the other is not. Therefore, I'm saying if I were to show you, if you had read the cross-examination, it would have enhanced your analysis and would have impacted on some of the things you assume because you don't know what she said and what she conceded.
There are some things she did concede, but I think the substance of, I would not change the substance of what I said, having gone through the record. There are places where she disputes your interpretation, says something different, remains committed to her interpretation. So she does not give way on everything.
You would not change your view even if you see what you have not seen. It's a bizarre statement.
No.
You would not change, you don't know what you've not seen.
I went through the record last night, so now I have seen it. I cannot comment on a lot of the cross-examination about was there a grammatical error, does the full stop look the same, why are there two statements? That is not something that is for me to comment on. It's not for me to comment on whether or not WhatsApps were cropped or weren't cropped, what time things were. That falls outside what I'm doing. What I was looking at is where you are cross-examining her around what she said.
I'm saying, ma'am, when you gave us the report and when you gave your evidence in chief, you had not had that access. It's an ex post facto analysis you are making.
I had skimmed through it, and I had listened to what was said in the media, which was essentially the Judge President saying, yes, we had flirtatious conversations, but I thought it was all I thought it was reciprocating, was flirtatious. That seemed to, and in the opening of the evidence leaders' statement, she also makes a fairly similar comment that this was he assumed it was flirtatious and was returned. When I go back and look at the testimony of asking for photographs, those were repeated requests. My opinion doesn't change that he asked repeatedly for a photograph and she didn't give it to him, no matter how many times it was repeated. I don't see any reason to change that. There were also the times where she was repeatedly asked about what is her favorite sexual position. She does not specify, oh, I like X, Y, and Z, and I like it like this in that conversation. And I also looked at the areas where I identified that she is engaging with him, and they're the same as the areas where you identify her as engaging with him. So on that,
Yeah, all I'm saying, ma'am, is what we established yesterday. I'm saying it would have enhanced your analysis, your evidence in chief, and your report. That's all I'm saying.
possibly.
You must agree with me that when you've not looked at a particular aspect of the record, your analysis is incomplete. You must agree with me. It can't be that you undermine what you've not read. You don't know what you've not read. And I'm telling you now that reading the record on cross-examination would have enhanced, I don't even say, would have enhanced your analysis.
It certainly would have given me a clearer sense of where you are heading.
Yeah, I'm assuming, Ms. Vetten, I'm making this conversation, I'm going to stop it. I do it because I'm assuming that you are not the complainant's witness in these proceedings.
No, I'm not.
You are the witness to assist us with concept, to analyze for us, to assist us, not to support any party. That's why I'm engaging with you. When I make this point and you duck it, I'm not sure why, because I'm saying to you, you must agree that not being furnished with certain things, or not having access or not having read a particular aspect of this case, particularly how we, in proceeding like this, test the veracity of claims, renders or may render your analysis deficient, your conclusions inchoate.
I don't agree. I think it would certainly have given me another perspective, but I think on my conclusions is, did he repeatedly ask her for photographs? And did she provide him with a photograph? Did he repeatedly ask her about sexual positions? Did she say no to him? That would not change.
I don't think we should proceed in this manner. Mrs. Vettel, the question is, you admitted you had not read
Yes.
some material,
Yes.
such as cross-examination. You had not read the respondent's affidavit and the like. The question is, do you agree that had you read those things, they could have enhanced your report?
They could have.
Please, yes.
Thank you. Can I take you to the conversation about pictures, right?
May I go to the bathroom?
Oh, yes, by all means, yeah. Maybe, Chair, I think she...
You might not be the only one.
I think she speaks for
Let
most
us
of
come
us.
back at 12.
Okay.
At 11. Chair, that's a 2 hour, 1 hour. You've just given us 1 hour, 15
sorry.
minutes.
I'm sorry. I withdraw that. At 11 o'clock, please.
Thank you, Chair.
We adjourn now.
So, bye.